Okay, hello and welcome to the second part of today's event. My name is Nirabi Matthews and I work in the Student Recruitment Division at the University of Wollongong as the Operations Manager. Firstly, I want to congratulate each and every one of you here today on receiving an offer to start with the University of Wollongong to study with us. I know that, to get to this point, it's taken a lot of hard work and dedication to meet the results required to get into our university. And I want to congratulate each and every one of you for being able to get that offer to study with us. Next, I want to say how incredibly excited we are to have you coming to our university. Whether you're coming to the Wollongong campus or the Sydney campus, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the university community and all of the staff. We are so excited to have our international students come back and enjoy this beautiful campus that we've got. I'm actually on campus now, and all day, all the staff, we've been really excited to prepare the campus to have you all back and studying with us next year. So in the session today, we'll provide you with insights into courses on business, postgrad courses for business and law. There's a list here of courses. They do include the graduate certificates and the master's courses. So the list, if you should have an offer for one of these courses, if you don't, just you can use the Q&A, the question and answer function of this session to, and one of my colleagues in the back end, if you let them know what degree you've got an offer for, they'll direct you into the right place. So before we begin, I just want to remind everyone that this session will be recorded. Please use the Q&A function if you've got any questions. Either myself or the panel will answer those through the Q&A section at the end, or one of our team of my colleagues working in the background will answer the questions via typing. They'll either send them to you privately or make them available for the group. Now, the webinar will run tonight to approximately 7 to 7:30. Just, if you can, refrain from asking really personal questions about your individual circumstance. If you do have questions that are specific to your individual circumstance, I encourage you to contact the Future Students team at UOW, and they can have a look at your profile and anything that might be on your admissions records, really to give you tailored advice. I can assure you the Future Students team at UOW are incredible, extremely knowledgeable. It's actually my team that I work in, and they'll be really happy to answer your questions if there's anything that's not covered in today's session. So following the presentation that we're going to do at the start, we're going to open up a Q&A, like a live Q&A session for a panel. So after we've gone through the slides, take some notes of the types of questions you might like to ask. And then once we've got through all of the slides, you can use that Q&A function to ask the questions, and then I'll distribute those questions amongst the panel. So on the panel today, we've got Associate Professor Venkat Yanamandram. Venkat is the Associate Dean for International and Accreditation for the Faculty of Business and Law. Venkat also was once the course director for the MBA and also studied the MBA with us here. So extremely happy and fortunate to have Venkat with us today. We also have Tia, who will be on the panel. Now, Tia works in our Future Students team, but she's also an alumni from the Faculty of Business and Law, and she's going to be talking to us a little bit about studying from a student's perspective. You'll have myself as the host. As I mentioned, I am the Operations Manager in the Student Recruitment Division, but I have also studied a Bachelor of Commerce and a Master's of Business Administration with the university. So I can also help with any questions that you may have. Okay, so now I'm going to pass you over to Associate Professor Venkat Yanamandram. Venkat's going to talk to you a little bit about the faculty and just to reinforce to you that you have made the right decision by choosing to study with the University of Wollongong. After that presentation, I'll deliver a presentation a little bit more detailed in terms of what's next, admissions, enrolments, coming to Australia, and then, as I mentioned, we'll do the Q&A after that. So over to you, Venkat.
Thanks, Nirabi, and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. And once again, congratulations on getting an offer to study at the UOW Australia. We hope to see you very soon, early next year, doing one of the master's programs. So as Nirvi said, my name is Venkat Inamanjam. I'm the Associate Dean International and Accreditation in the Faculty of Business and Law. I'm an alumni of the Sydney Business School here at the University of Wollongong. I came here about more than 23 years ago to do my MBA, and I liked the program so much that I continued to undertake a doctoral program. And after that, I started working in the university. So it's been more than 2 decades, and I absolutely love it. So what I have today over the next few slides is to give you some information on some of the facilities, the features of our various programs. And as Nirbi said, we are happy to take any questions you may have on particular programs or other features of these programs. So one of the things that I want to start off with, our big push in the Faculty of Business and Law is to provide students with learning experiences that focus on real world applications and practical experiences. And what we mean by that is that surely, yes, we are here to talk about theory, the concepts, the frameworks, which are the foundations on which you would be able to provide those solutions. But part of our learning experiences includes embedding those real life experiences, which means you would have the opportunities to share your experiences if you have worked in the industry. But we also bring in a lot of industry speakers. Our assessments revolve around the application of those concepts and frameworks so that when you graduate, you have a higher chance of success, that you are career ready. So which is the big focus? To develop career ready graduates who are independent thinkers and creative problem solvers. So all our programs at the undergraduate, postgraduate, and at the higher degree level, research level, which are the doctoral programs, are accredited. In the Faculty of Business and Law, we have 2 schools, one being the School of Business, and that has 5 disciplines: the discipline of accounting, finance, economics, marketing, and management. And the other school is the School of Law, that offers a few master's programs as well. We have 2 major campuses where we offer our postgraduate programs. The Wollongong, which is the main campus, which we are all here in. And we also have the CBD campus at Sydney, overlooking the Harbour Bridge. So that's not a fancy picture. In fact, the tall building that you see is the gateway building where the Sydney Business School is there. And I have taught personally into the MBA program at both the Wollongong and the Sydney campus. So the Sydney campus has the corporate flair, if I can use that term, and the Wollongong campus is the main one where you are pristine with the beauty and the nature of it, and if you're looking for the typical university campus. Just some stats. We are a medium-sized university according to what Australia terms it. We have about 35,000 enrollments, over 160,000 alumni, about roughly 14,000 international students, of which in the business school, we have over 2,000 students. These students come from over 184 nationalities. So you can see that we have a diverse student population. And we have a number of campuses in Australia, about 9 of them, but the postgraduate programs are offered at the Wollongong as well as the Sydney CBD campus. We also offer programs overseas. Our largest offshore campus is at Dubai, which has been established more than a decade ago. It's one of the largest campuses in UAE. And along with that, we also have campuses in Malaysia and Hong Kong. Our achievements, we are in the top 250 universities worldwide, and that have been consistent. And specifically within the business context, we are there in the top 250 universities for not only economics, but also generally in business, both according to the QS as well as the Times Higher Education. So regardless of who has ranked us, and we have been in the top 250 consistently over a number of years. We are also known globally, 38 in the world for the Master of Supply Chain Management, and 60th globally for the Master of Business. We also offer our Executive MBA and the regular MBA and the MBA Advanced, and we are known 13th globally for our executive profile and also for our diversity. In addition to that, our university is ranked 6th in the world for our contribution to sustainable development. So we are known for our uphold the values of ethics, responsibility, and sustainability. And here at the Faculty of Business and Law, we have contributed significantly to the university's ranking being at the 6th in the world. So we are proud of that achievement. But we are also equally a young university, a modern university. We are less than 50 years old. And according to QS and Times Higher Education, we are ranked 14th best modern university in the world. And that shows that even though we are young, we are modern, we are out there with some of the best universities in terms of universities that are young, that is less than 50 years old. So why study at the University of Wollongong? So when students ask me the question, why should I study at the University of Wollongong? I say, well, we have a lot of business programs that are accredited, that are well known in the world, and therefore you can do business programs. You can combine your passion with that of your purpose. So one of the examples that I always talk about is you could want to be an accountant. A registered accountant to practice that, but you could be having your passion or your purpose in the space of having to contribute to sustainability in the world. You may have strong views on climate change. You may have strong views on a number of things that matters in the space of having a responsible leadership. So you can combine both. You could be studying about carbon accounting, and be able to learn about a number of principles that will help you to be at the top of the thinking and the thought leadership, and it will place you well when you go into the corporate ladder, so to speak. Our curriculum is informed by real-world industry experiences. So when we review our courses, we involve our industry people, and then we incorporate their feedback when as part of continuous improvements. So our curriculum is very well informed by real-world practices. The other aspects is that it reflects the needs of our practitioners, the needs of future employers. As I would shortly talk about the various opportunities that are available, a number of our industry partners, they bring their problem or an issue or an opportunity to the classroom, for the whole classroom to work on. And therefore, all the assessments are very well aligned and integrated. We call that as work integrated learning. And therefore, then that helps you with a strong footing when you graduate. So how do you maximize those opportunities? Some examples are that we have a number of research projects. So every degree program has what we call it as a equivalent of a capstone subject, the subject that requires you to apply the concepts, the principles, the frameworks that you have learned from the rest of the degree program to be able to apply in that capstone. And invariably, almost all of the capstone subjects in the respective degree programs have a business research project. The second point, which talks about the interactive business challenges, is the one that I talked about earlier, where our industry partners bring in a real-world issue or a problem or an opportunity that they face for our students to work on. So everybody gets to work on it, but the top performers reports and presentations we forwarded on to our industry partners for their consideration. So our team would be happy to provide you with some of the testimonials as well as some of the videos where our students have worked on different projects, both collaboratively with some of the other institutional partners, including University of Wollongong in Dubai. And that's a great way of building teamwork, increasing your leadership skills, building resilience, and of course, making the connections with practice. We also have a co-curricular opportunity that is called as UOWX. So similar to where our industry partners give it based on particular disciplinary issues, there are cross-disciplinary projects that at the university level, you could be put together with students from other faculties, other degree programs, and you work with them to work on solutions. On completion of that, you get a certificate which goes counted towards what we call it as UOWX. So there are a number of opportunities that are available for you to earn your UOWX certificates. So these projects are one way of doing that. We also have a global workplace practice, and these are particularly enticing for our international students who would love to learn about how the business operates in Australia. So this particular subject is an elective subject that is offered in a number of degree programs. And the first half of it focuses on building the career in Australia, applying for different applications, how to build up a CV or your LinkedIn profile contextualized to the Australian work environment. And the latter half of the program gives you the opportunity to actually work in an organization. So that is what we call it as a global workplace practice, which is an elective subject that is available in most postgraduate degree programs. The University of Wollongong is also an accredited member of AACSB. AACSB is one of the accrediting bodies based in US that accredits the top 5% of the business schools worldwide. And we are proud of earning that accreditation way back in 2019. What does that mean for you? It means that the business school meets certain level of standards that high-performing business schools undertake. And that could be to do with the qualifications of teaching staff. It could be to do with the learning experiences. It could be to do with alumni engagement. It could be to do with industry engagement. So it means that when it comes to business education, we meet a threshold level of quality standards worldwide that has been accepted to be a norm or of a high quality. In addition to AACSB accreditation, we also have professional recognition for different degree programs. For example, our accounting programs are accredited by CPA Australia. Our Master of Human Resource Management is accredited by the Australian Human Research Institute. Our Master of Business Analytics is being accredited by SAS, to name a few. And we have over 17 professional accreditation, including the Master of Supply Chain Management, which is accredited by SIPS. And therefore, you can be guaranteed in a way that when you undertake these master's programs, the industry people have provided their input, which we have acted on, which is again recognized by these bodies in terms of being, accredited. We also have accreditation in the law space, both for the bachelor degree, and our bachelor degrees, for example, are accredited by the Bar Council of India and the University Grants Commission of Bangladesh, which means that you are able to go and practice it back in your countries, of course, after completing any bridging course that is maybe necessary. Our business programs, we also educate our students to think about the actions or the decisions they make, and that is reflected in our commitment and our membership into PRME, which stands for the Principles of Responsible Management Education. And what this means being a signatory is that in all of our master's program, the PRME principles are embedded, which means we constantly ask you to think about the impact of the decisions that you make, the impact those that would have on different stakeholder groups, and also how that might shape your thinking as you take on leadership roles, how it affects governance roles, and so on. So our faculty takes a strong view, and we are committed to the principles of ethics, responsibility, and sustainability. And therefore, this signatory to PRME is only a natural course of action that we undertake. We also have a global buddy program. And what that means is in the times of challenges such as these, when you come over to Australia, we will buddy you up with seniors, either from your own degree program or from other degree programs in business, who would be there to assist you, whether it is to do with curriculum, co-curriculum, or it could be to provide you with general support. And that could be in the community, it could be to do with clubs and societies, it could be to do with shopping, it could be to do with food, it could be to do with how the education system works, the expectations. So your buddy would be teamed up for a couple of weeks, and you are more than welcome to extend those relationships to beyond those 2 weeks if you wish so. So if you are interested in budding up, please do let us know, and we will be then in touch with you to give you a buddy, which you can make use of their services either before you start or after you arrive. We also have a number of career support services, which is available to you 2 years after you graduate. So it's not only during your program, but it is available after you graduate as well. And there are a number of professional engagement and corporate events that we hold on a regular basis. Of course, during these tough COVID times, we had to hold these events in the virtual space, but we are very hopeful that this will come back to in-person visits, which then gives you the opportunity for networking. So when you come over here, you will have a number of industry speakers. We have those guest seminars in the evening or during lunchtime, and that will give you the opportunity to connect with those industry people. There are also a number of support services available beyond what the faculty offers, and that could be in terms of confidential counseling, it could be to do with health and other legal facilities. It could be to do with an award-winning library. We have one of the largest libraries in the country, over 160,000 collections of books, and we've got access to databases. We have over 120 clubs and societies, and they include either to a particular lifestyle, or it could be to do with the country of origin. For example, we have the Indian Student Society or the Bangladeshi Student Society. So this helps you make you feel more at home, and to maintain those connections back in the country as well. So we've got a lot of clubs and societies that you could connect to. Personally, I am also attend a number of events hosted by these clubs and societies, and there are plenty of opportunities available there. I'll now pass it on to Narabi, who might talk about some academic support and also the way forward in terms of what you would need to do in order to move to the stage of, a confirmation of enrollment. So off to you, Mary.
Thank you, Venkat. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to this slide first, and then I'll talk about the next steps in terms of coming to Australia. I just want to flag, most of you are studying or continuing education because your aim is to get that experience to be able to get a job. We have an incredible careers central team here at the university, and they can help you while you're studying to help to build your skills, your resume. You can go to workshops to learn about interview techniques or where to look for jobs. So we have the Careers Central team located on campus, but they also have a lot of online or virtual workshops that they deliver to help support you to build up those skills, not necessarily the academic skills, but after you've finished, so you can come out with, whether it's experience through volunteering, casual work, part-time work. Obviously your main focus is actually studying, but to make sure that, when you do graduate, that you do have some other skills and that you can really demonstrate and communicate the value that you can bring to that employer. Just next slide. Thanks, Venkat. Okay, and again. So I'm going to talk a little bit about coming to Australia. And first and foremost, I just want to acknowledge how challenging it has been for everyone with an offer. There's a lot of decisions that are being made by the Australian federal and state governments that we don't have any influence over. And so what I'm going to talk to you a lot about today is where to go to get the most up-to-date information. What are those sources of truth? So I can give you information which was correct as of the 7th of December, and it is still accurate today as well. But what I will encourage you to do is after this session is to continue to keep your eye on those key websites that we tell you to go to. Don't take the word of a friend who told a friend who put something on WhatsApp. Go to these websites. They're government websites, they're trusted websites, and they will tell you the most up-to-date information. And as I've seen it point out in the chat, in the Q&A, the situation is evolving quickly. So it is important that you keep up to date. Next slide, thanks, Venkat. And I do understand that there's a lot going on in your worlds at the moment. So trying to keep up to date with what's happening on travelling advice can be quite difficult. So I do appreciate that it is challenging, and we do acknowledge that. So from the 15th of December, fully vaccinated, eligible visa holders will be able to travel to Australia without a travel exemption. It makes me so happy to read that to you. Until this date, a travel exemption was required. So yeah, after the 15th of December, it is very exciting. So next slide, thanks, Venkat. So what are you going to do to prepare to travel to Australia? So you've got your offer letter. To enter Australia and commence your course in 2022, you're going to need to do a couple of steps. The first is accept your offer to study at UOW. So this includes clearing any conditions that you might have, such as an English condition, paying your deposit and receiving your confirmation of enrolment. This is also referred to as a COE. After you've done that, you can secure a student visa and your health cover. And there's a really helpful website that's included here where you can read a little bit more around the overseas health cover. Now, you also need to ensure that you're fully vaccinated for COVID-19 with a vaccination that's approved by the Australian Therapeutics Goods Administration. I never say that properly. So it's a lot easier just to say TGA. This is a list here of the current vaccinations that are approved. However, the Australian government is continuing to assess vaccinations. So that we have put a website there that will help you understand. You can check that to see if there's any other vaccinations that are approved. Thanks, Venkat. So you will have to show proof of vaccination at each of the stages of your journey. And to keep, to try and take that stress level away from travelling to Australia, just make sure you're prepared. Before you leave, get all of your proof of vaccinations ready with all your documentation and have it ready and available to show to people at different stages throughout the process. Thanks, Venkat. So in terms of travelling to Australia and a checklist, so pre-departure, so before you actually leave, you need to check current travel advice before booking your travel and even before you get on the plane. You need to obtain your proof of vaccination, so your vaccination certificate, and you will need to continue to show that when you're here in Australia as well. You need to complete an Australian travel declaration at least 72 hours before your flight, and you need to undertake a pre-departure COVID-19 test. At the airport, you're going to have to present your foreign vaccination certificate or your international COVID-19 vaccination certificates, your negative COVID test result, and your ATD to the airline staff when you arrive for your flight. So just make sure you've got those in a pack that's close and you can access them easily, and it will just take a little bit of pressure off. There's going to be lots of getting documents out and showing lots of people. So have them so they're accessible. Thanks, Venkat. So travelling to Australia when you arrive, and now this is advice as of the 7th of December. So it may change in the coming days, but at the moment, the advice is when you arrive in Australia, so if you're fully vaccinated and if you've come from an overseas country, you need to get a COVID-19 test when you arrive in Australia at the airport. So there's a particular type of COVID-19 test that you'll get, and the airport staff will give you guidance on how to do that. And then you need to self-isolate at your accommodation or place of residence for at least 72 hours. There's a website here, and please take note of this website, write it down and continue to check it, particularly over the next 3 to 4 to 5 days, the next week, just in case any of that advice changes. But this is the website you need to go to get the most up-to-date advice. Thanks, Venkat. Again, the links here, we will circulate this recording and the slides after this session, which will allow you to click through to these links. But each of the links that you need to bookmark them, keep them in a safe place where you can find them and continue to check those for the most up-to-date information. And if you are contacting the Future Students team, they will continue to direct you back to those points as the source of truth. So studying at UOW in 2022, what does it look like? This picture is just outside of our office. That is what the Wollongong campus looks like. So it's they're real students, it's a real campus, it's a beautiful campus. Thanks, Venkat. So when I'm talking about the Wollongong campus, Wollongong is about an hour and a half south of Sydney. Sydney campus, as Venkat pointed out, the Sydney CBD campus is right in the centre of the Sydney CBD. It's right next to the Harbour Bridge. And we deliver postgraduate business courses from there. So that's our business school. We also deliver those postgraduate business courses from the Wollongong campus. And as you can see by those pictures, they're quite significantly different in terms of the environment that you're studying in. We actually have the same lecturers that teach across both campuses. So the same degree that you'll be studying, the same subjects, the same lecturers. People like myself actually sometimes study at both campuses. So when I was doing my MBA, I did some subjects at Wollongong, some subjects at Sydney. And it just allowed me to connect with a different cohort of students. So for students that are unable to travel to Australia for some reason, for students who are unable to travel to Australia due to COVID-19 impacts or travel restrictions that are put in place, we will continue to provide a quality online learning option where possible. Strangely enough, we've been doing this for 2 years now, and I find it incredible that it's been 2 years. But we've had that experience now. We've learned, we've gone through the journey of online learning for international students, and we've developed it over that time period. So there is a viable option there if something happens in your travels and you can't get here straight away. The timetable will outline the subjects running in each session, class options for each subject, and how these classes will be delivered. So when you get your offer letter tells you the course that you're studying. You need to look at the UOW course handbook. That will tell you the subjects that you study in the course. You then use those subjects into the timetable to see when and how the subjects will be delivered. Thanks, Venkat. Campus life. So I've referenced this a little bit previously. I probably jumped ahead, to be honest. The campus life at Wollongong and the Sydney CBD campus are different. They're different campuses. One's in the middle of Sydney, one's in Wollongong, which is also a city. It's a vibrant community, but they are different campus lifestyles. Across both campuses, we have a range of services available to support our students. We have clubs and societies and cafes and restaurants. We've got markets, we've got gym facilities at the Wollongong campus. At Sydney, there's gym facilities close by, volunteering opportunities and libraries. The library at the Wollongong campus is quite significant, it's huge. But the library at the Sydney campus, although it's not that big, they have the most incredible librarians up there that will give you all of the support that you need. So there is definitely support across both campuses. And most importantly, we have safe and respectful communities in both of our campuses and support to make sure that you feel safe and secure while you're here. So in terms of Wollongong, this is a picture of Wollongong. It's a real life picture of what Wollongong looks like. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful city to come and study in. You can tell that it is big, but it does have a community atmosphere to it. We are about an hour and a half south of Sydney. So if you fly into Sydney, I strongly recommend that you book an airport pickup through the UOW airport pickup service. And someone will pick you up from Sydney Airport and bring you to Wollongong. You can catch a train, but given the amount of stress and anxiety and that the past couple of months may have caused you in trying to figure out with changes to borders opening, it will take a little bit of pressure off you knowing that someone is going to be there and pick you up from the airport and bring you back to Wollongong. If you are studying in Sydney, the airport is very close to a lot of the railways, buses. It's very easy. It's right in the centre of Sydney, so you'll get around quite easily. Thanks, Venkat. Now, we're really excited, as you can tell, to have all of our international students back at Wollongong campus, and everyone's invited to this. So if you've got an offer for Sydney, come down to the Wollongong campus between the 21st and 25th of February, and we're going to have a huge campus festival. We're going to invite current students and future students and staff in our community and celebrate having everyone back on campus. There'll be free events, there'll be free bands, and there'll also be support sessions for new students that are starting, and your orientation will actually be embedded within this. But it's going to be a great time on campus, and I definitely encourage you to come. You'll meet other peers, you'll be a part of our community, and we're really excited about welcoming you into that community. Thanks, Venkat. So we do have a range of accommodation options at Wollongong. These are all listed here, and we've got the website as well. If you are considering accommodation options, please reach out to the Future Students team before you travel, like as quickly as possible, to see what accommodation options are available for you. If you can organise those accommodation options before you come, it takes pressure off you having to organise that when you get here. So we have a range of accommodations. Some is here on campus, and some of it's right in the middle of the city, which is only 10 minutes away. And some are self-catered and some are not. So in terms of the next steps for enrolment, everyone's got an offer letter. It's why you've been invited here today. You need to accept that offer letter. This is going to mean that you receive your COE. Once you have your COE, then you can apply for an Australian visa. As you can imagine, or are currently experiencing, there is an extremely high demand on visas coming to Australia at the moment. So if you haven't already gone through these steps, make sure you do it as quickly as possible. It will just, again, take that pressure off and try and get that documentation to you as quickly as possible. Thanks, Venkat. Step two. Step two is to complete the enrolment registration form. This is going to be sent to you to the email address that we've been communicating with you. This form lets us know that you are ready to commence your enrolment, your online enrolment. Step three is to enroll online. All of our students need to go through an online enrolment process. This is where we ask you some questions, and it's actually when you move from a prospective student to a current student. So you go through the online enrolment process. It will ask you a range of questions. And to complete that process, you need to enroll in at least one subject. So it's really important before you go through that online enrolment process that you have a look in your course handbook and you make sure that you've got your subject that you're going to enroll in. You can enroll in all of your subjects for that session if you want, but just to complete the process, you only have to enroll in one. Thanks, Venkat. One key point to note is that if you're studying a postgraduate course in business, you run off trimesters. Your dates are going to be different. So you need to make sure you reference dates in your offer letter and any trimester dates on our key dates page. So trimesters, 3 sessions in a year. It also means that your orientation and your classes commence on the 7th of February. So it does start before the other sessions start. If there is a chance that you are going to be late for some reason or another, please reach out to us early. We don't encourage students to start late into trimesters because the sessions are shorter. So if you're starting late, then it becomes difficult for you to be successful in those subjects unless you're able to start online and then, continue to study face-to-face when you arrive. But please keep in contact with us with that. But so please, if you're doing a postgraduate degree in business, you need to follow the trimester dates. Thanks. And we've got our semester dates here as well for anyone that's studying potentially a law degree that's in the session today. As you can see, classes commence the 28th of February, so it is a little bit later. So if you're postgraduate business, you really need to be getting organised as quickly as possible. Thanks, Venkat. Again, links and resources, we will circulate this after. Next slide, thanks, Venkat. Now I'm going to open up to Q&A. So hopefully we've covered quite a bit of information there. And as I said, you will be circulated the presentation after. And I can see that you've been asking questions in the background and our team has been able to answer a lot of those. But I'm gonna ask some questions to the panel based on what I can see here as well. So a question for you, Venkat. You mentioned a little bit about the curriculum in your slides and what kind of drives our curriculum. We've got a question here in the chat around what is the focus of the curriculum? And can you talk to me a little bit about that? I suppose in terms of curriculum, how you develop the curriculum, but also in respects to different courses.
Okay, so a curriculum consists of teaching approaches, methods of assessment, student engagement, and of course, the content of the material itself. And these are developed in consultation with a range of stakeholders. So when we do course reviews, as I said earlier, we have student representatives, we have people, alumni, we have people from the industry, and we also have people from other universities who act as representatives to provide feedback on our content, teaching approaches, methods of assessment, and student engagement itself. So every 5 years, we undertake a major program review, what we call as a course review. And every year, we do an annual review looking into our assessment methods. We collect what we call it as assurance of learning data, and the data informs whether our students have been able to achieve the learning outcomes that we have promised to them. And we use that data to look at various interventions to close any competency gaps among students. And that's the basis that we use it as a continuous improvement. So we do that every year, culminating in year 5 with a major program review.
Thank you. And a question, Venkat, for you around timetables. So if we've got postgrad business students here studying in trimesters, given that we do have a lot of working professionals that are local students in those classes, what can a student expect with their timetable? What times, can you talk to me a little bit about what that timetable might look like?
Okay, so first of all, let me talk about the constitution of the classes itself. They are like seminars, so you'll have a number of mini lectures, seminars, discussion points, And these are typically held in either late afternoon or evening to cater to working professionals. So if you look at the MBA and MBA Advanced, we recognize that there are a lot of students who are working full-time and undertaking part-time study. And therefore, all our classrooms or classes for our MBA are held in the evening from 5:30 to 8:30. In some instances, you would find that these classes are held on 5 days of intensive study. So these would typically be on a Saturday and Sunday, the whole day. And then you will have a number of weeks break for you to engage on the material, undertake assessments, and then we will meet again for another Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then you will have probably another Saturday. So it could be held in an intensive mode. It could be held in the evening, typically looking at the history of the cohorts that come to our different degree programs.
Yeah, great. And I do understand we have seen quite a shift in over the last couple of years with COVID, where there has been quite a significant amount of local or domestic working professionals coming back to study postgrad qualifications. So if you are, coming over because you do want to start to network and meet new people and meet other working professionals, it's a great time to come in and study our degrees. We're really seeing a high experience, high caliber of students studying with us. Tia, are you there?
Yes, I'm definitely here.
Can I ask you a question around campus life? Because I believe you studied at Wollongong. Can you talk to me a little bit about what it's like to study at the Wollongong campus?
Yeah, of course. I absolutely loved being on campus. I love it so much that now I work on campus. So it's just such a nice environment to be in, with all of the greenery, all of the ducks that are around, all the different animals and all the people. Especially now that everyone's coming back, I'm really excited to have that vibrant campus life back. Even just seeing people having lunch on the lawn, or live music at lunchtime on the lawn, all the different events that go on, Stress Less Week. So there's always something happening on campus, and it is really nice to be in that vibrant environment.
Great. Now, Tia, another question for you. I know that you've been talking a lot to students in the last week to 2 weeks about enrolment and the enrolment process. What advice would you give to, the students that we've got here with us today, if they're about to go through that process? What advice would you have for them based on the conversations that you've been having to date?
Yeah, definitely. So a really important thing that I think a lot of people aren't too aware of is the enrolment registration form. So if you haven't completed that form yet, it's available. There's a link to it on the Get Started page. So make sure you jump on and fill that out. And once that's been processed, you will be sent an email to let you know, great, that's processed, and then you can log in to the enrolment portal. And there are a lot of instructions and videos even online that take you through each step of the enrolment process. So make sure you just take the time to watch the videos or have a read so that the enrolment process can be as easy as possible. But if you get stuck, please give us a call and we're happy to help you out.
Thank you. Now, Venkat, a question for you. We're getting quite a few questions from postgrad business students studying trimesters. So, Venkat, what's the workload for a postgraduate business student? How many subjects should they be enrolling in a trimester, and how much time should they be allocating to study?
Okay, so if you're an international student, you will need to be enrolled full-time to meet your visa requirements. And that means you need to be enrolled in 18 credit points per trimester or 3 subjects per trimester. So that's the typical load. And there is a lot of expectation around you undertaking self-study. So you might have seminars that run for 3 hours per week per subject. So that makes it about 9 hours of face-to-face. But for each subject that you're studying, you also need to put in a number of hours, roughly about 9 hours, in terms of preparation for assessments, absorbing the material, writing reports, preparing for presentations, and so on. So roughly a load would be 12 hours per subject per week. 3 hours you have in your face-to-face classes, and the 9 hours is self-study.
Okay, great. I'm getting quite a few questions, Venkat, about internships and work opportunities. I know you touched on it briefly in the presentation, but would you just more kindly just reiterate, I suppose, how we're helping connect our students and get them opportunities with industry?
So one of the things that I was talking about is the interactive business challenges. This is where, so because we have a diverse student population who have got multiple experiences or varied experiences, we rather bring the industry to the classroom. So they give the real life problem or an issue or an opportunity, and every student then gets to work on it contextualized to that particular subject or the unit. And then the top performers get the opportunity to present it to the industry people. So it works slightly different to some of the other countries where students go in person and work in a company. That is not to say that it's not available. In fact, I was talking about one of the subjects which you can take it as an elective that helps you to prepare for the Australian workforce, as well as give you an opportunity to work in the company for a period of time. So that's an elective subject, but the interactive business challenges is something that is available to you, typically in capstone subjects in every degree program.
Thank you. Now, I'm just going to acknowledge that there are going to be people on this session that might have like an English offer with a postgrad offer or a graduate certificate with a master's. So Venkat, can you talk to me a little bit about particularly the graduate certificate and the master's? If a student has two of those offers, how does that work?
So my understanding,
before the other, yeah.
Yeah. So my understanding is that you will need to complete the English language course first before you are able to undertake your master's or the graduate certificate. Am I right, Nirubi?
Yeah, that's correct. And that's the same for the graduate certificate as well. A student will need to complete their graduate certificate before they can move into their master's. Yeah. Okay.
Just to quickly clarify, if you were moving into doing your graduate certificate and moving into master's, note that you're not going to be spending extra time because the subjects in the master's program are part of the graduate certificate. The graduate certificate gives you the confidence to move on, to know if you have learned all the material rightly and you're up for it. And if you are, then you continue with your master's journey. So it wouldn't cost you extra, or it wouldn't take you more time.
Great, thank you. And some others might have 2 masters in 2 years where you get 2 master's offers.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you started off with a single master's, you have the option to do another master's, but in a less duration of time. So you get 2 masters in 2 years' time. And of course, if you have a bachelor degree in business itself, you might be able to complete it even less than 2 years' time. So
yeah, that's correct. So if you've got a bachelor in business, commerce, or related area, you may actually be eligible for some credit for prior learning towards your master's degree. One thing you do need to consider with that is that if you're issued credit for prior learning, it will reduce the duration of your degree and the duration of your COE as well. So if you've been awarded any credit for prior learning, it will be noted on your offer letter. So that's really important when you go to enrol, that you do not need to enrol in any subjects that you have been issued credit for prior learning for. So if you've been awarded credit for prior learning, it will be on your offer letter and you do not need to enrol in any of those subjects. Okay, I've just seen I'm going to cover a couple more questions. I can see the team busily typing away in the background. Venkat, what advice would you give to an international student coming over to study with us for the first time next year?
Okay, I would say take it slow because it's a new country, it's a new curriculum, it's new people, it's a different education system. So I do remember 22 years back when I came over here, my objective was not just to get a pass. My objective was to make sure that I master the material, that it is useful to me. So I spent quite a bit of time revising the material, having conversations with fellow students, Australian students, meeting the subject coordinator. That's very important. You have consultation hours that you are given for every subject. I would strongly encourage you to make use of it. And that's the time that you meet with your teaching staff or your teacher and ask any questions that you may have on the material that has been taught in your seminars or in your lectures. Yeah, make use of them.
Great, thank you. Now, something that I haven't mentioned is when you enroll in your subjects, you'll then be given access to I've just had a block, a subject outline. That subject outline is going to tell you if there's any textbooks that you need to use. Now, keep in mind, not all of our degrees require a textbook. So that will tell you exactly what textbook you need to use. It will tell you when your assignments are and what readings you need to do. So make sure you keep up to date with your readings and you keep note of when your assignments are during the session. Having studied through trimesters myself, they go very quickly and you need to be organised. So once you get enrolled in those subjects, have a look at that document. It will tell you who your teacher is or your lecturer, your subject coordinator, how to contact them, the appropriate ways to communicate with them. It will tell you things like textbooks and assignments, and it's a really valuable document for you to have. So you will get one of those for each of the subjects you enroll in each session.
Just to quickly add to that, Nirvi, the subject outline is also a legal contract that is established between the university and you as the student, because it gives you the details of the curriculum, it gives you the details of the assessment, the deadlines, and the details of the assessment as well. So you would need to read them quite thoroughly in order to understand, and if you have any questions, you would be very welcome to contact the subject coordinators. You'll also have what we call it as a Moodle site, which is an e-learning site where the subject coordinator might upload any supporting material for you to use, and also may open up chat windows for you to ask questions to your fellow mates or even directly the lecturer.
Yeah, I actually was enrolled in one of our business analytics subjects last year, and when I was doing the subject, I was put straight away into a chat group with all of the other students that were studying, and it was so good to have that connection with students. You could ask questions and advice, and it was really helpful. The other thing, as there are a lot of students here studying business, make sure that you start utilising social platforms such as LinkedIn. So when you start to study and meet colleagues, you can connect with them on LinkedIn, and that's going to be really valuable to your networking and your experience, because when you become an alumni of the University of Wollongong and the Sydney Business School, you are then a part of that alumni community who are extremely supportive. So I do encourage you to make sure that you're connecting with your classmates, you're connecting through those social channels such as LinkedIn in a professional capacity, and you can keep in contact with each other. So hopefully that we've covered, there are some more questions coming in around networking, but I feel like we have covered that in quite a bit of depth in the conversation today.
Just to quickly answer a question on the LinkedIn one, I would encourage you to also look at the Sydney Business School LinkedIn pages. You will have a lot of alumni contacts. You'll be able to see where they work, whether it is in Master of Supply Chain Management or MBA, and that will give you the confidence that you can do it too.
Yeah, definitely. So on any LinkedIn universities page, there's an alumni section, and that allows you to go through and have a look. Okay, so what we might do is we might start to wrap up the session today. My colleagues in the background are just answering those final questions through the Q&A. I do encourage you, if you have any questions after the session, to contact the Future Students team. If it is an urgent question, please call. You'll get an answer much quicker. We do respond to emails usually within a 2-day turnaround. So we are quite quick in trying to respond to those. But if the matter is urgent, or if you're arriving at the airport and something happens and you need some type of support quite quickly, don't email us, pick up the phone and call. As I said, we're very, very, very excited about having you all back on campus. And I know a lot of the staff, as I said, I'm from the Wollongong campus, but I do know a lot of the staff at the Sydney campus, and they're just as excited as we are to have you back. So yeah, we'll be here welcoming you on the first day of session. Any questions at all, contact the Future Students team. But yeah, thank you for joining us here today. And
Ruby, can I quickly add? I know there were a few questions on the doctoral studies. And personally, I supervise a number of doctoral students as well.
Yeah.
And some of the queries were to do with, if I arrived late, what would I do? Who would I contact? Would I miss any material? And I can tell you that if you contacted your supervisor, because if you are a doctoral student, you would be allocated a doctoral supervisor who might be able to guide you. And I know that I have got personally one student who is actually commencing overseas and then joining in between. And the key thing is that a lot of these doctoral studies happen through conversations over Zoom meetings. Of course, you might be expected to do some coursework, but if you're not, then these conversations can happen over Zoom, which can then be followed up through in person when you physically come over here. So I'm trying to reassure you that you're not likely to miss any material, especially if you're commencing your doctoral study overseas.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Venkat. Well, that's it for this evening, or day, whichever time of the day it is of where you're joining us with us. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to have all of you in the session, and we hope that this has been helpful. And we look forward to seeing you soon.